Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns, where we break down each fight on the upcoming UFC card in a minute or less. At least we try to. We usually don't go over the 2 minute per fight mark. So it's a little different than what you're used to seeing on the average YouTuber, MMA handicapper YouTube show, where they take a little bit longer of a breakdown. Just short and concise, key points, and helps you get that last minute prep in before the event. Before all is said and done, if you guys haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. It does help us out a lot. I'm almost at 300 subscribers, and it would mean the world if you can help me get there. And I appreciate the constant support. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. First fight of the night, we have Jocelyn Edwards going up against Lucy Putalova. This is Putalova's second stint in the UFC. In her comeback fight, she fought Yanan Wu, and she showed a really different game plan than she used to. She was taking Yanan Wu down. She showed her improved ground and pound game. I still think Edwards is by far the better striker here, but Edwards can get taken down by a gust of wind. I mean, it's no secret here. The issue is, can we count on Putalova to go ahead and use that game plan and utilize the takedowns after only seeing evidence of it in only one fight? I'm gonna have to lean the Putalova side just because of the takedown threat, and I think she can get the fight down to the mat. I'm just not very excited to bet this fight or to watch this fight, quite frankly. So it's a pass for me. I do lean Putalova on the money line side, but again, no bet. I can't put myself through this pain if I do end up betting this and it loses. I hope you guys understand. Shout out to my guy Ripson Picks. I hope to see you tomorrow at the PFL event, and then we'll definitely be in touch. Thanks for being in chat. Thanks for the support. And then our guy Kierix, glad to be here after missing a few. Let's go Wiz. Yes, sir. Let's try to get this money and continue this profit streak, my brother. But without further ado, on to the next fight. These first three fights, you guys are going to hear a little bit more of a short breakdown from me because I'm not interested in them as much. They're a little bit more on the lower level side and a little bit harder to predict. But going into this next one, it's Gaston Bolanos going up against Aaron Phillips. Feels like we haven't seen Aaron Phillips in forever. And Gaston Bolanos just got signed from Bellator, believe it or not. We don't really see that many transitions from Bellator over to the UFC. So interested to see how that pans out. But Gaston is a very hard hitter. He's a finisher, comes from Bellator. He's mainly a striker, throws very powerful hooks. Aaron Phillips is going to try and drag this fight to the mat, quite frankly. He's pretty dangerous when he is on top, and his sub game is pretty decent. There's a reason why that sub line went from plus 1,400 to plus 1,200 to plus 1,000, and now I think it's hovering around plus 800 to plus 900, depending on where you can find it. And Bolaños seems very inexperienced when the fight does hit the mat from the tape that I've seen. I do like the under 2.5 in this fight. I do think it's a violent spot here. But as a moneyline side, I would not go near Gaston Bolaños. Don't put him in your parlays because it's going to be a sweat and a half. Unless he just goes out there and knocks Aaron Phillips out in that first minute, then yeah, I don't know. But yeah, as SH White 86 said, 3 guys on the card coming off a 3+ year layoff. Aaron Phillips, yeah, 2 years and 8 months to be specific against Jack Shore. That was his last fight. So who knows? Ring rust is a real thing, especially for these lower level guys. So I'm staying away. Maybe I'll get to the under 2.5. Who knows? But on to the next fight. And this is the last fight where I do not have too much interest in. We have Pierre Rodriguez going up. Sorry, not Pierre Rodriguez. Denise Gomez. I apologize for that. Going up against Bruna Brazil. And I'm just going to put this in very simple terms. Bruna Brazil is the much better striker here in this matchup. If she can keep her distance, I think she picks apart Denise Gomez. But Denise Gomez is actually very dangerous herself in the stand-up. She has power, and she can take this fight to the mat. Now, the issue with Denise Gomez is she does gas out. She does throw everything with fight-ending intention. And if she does that and just does not land anything on Bruna Brazil, I think she'll probably gas out towards the end of that second round, similar to her last fight. And I think Bruna Brazil here cruises to a unanimous decision, probably a 30-27 decision here for Bruna Brazil. but no interest in betting this one at all. I think Denise Gomez could get the finish, but I don't know, man. This is just a fight that I do not want any business touching, as the previous two. But we're starting to get into the fights that I am interested in. And before we get into this next fight, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out the chat. Shout out to Fight Talk Only. I appreciate the support, my man. Thank you for joining us live. Anthony, another dude, solid guy. Thank you for joining us live again, and thank you for the support. My boy Patrick is in the chat. Appreciate you, Pat, and thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. And on to this next fight, we have Lando Vannata going up against Daniel Zellhuber. Zellhuber took a year off. We all remember the letdown as a minus 300 to minus 400 favorite last time out against Trey Ogden, who just got destroyed by Ignacio Bahamondes. And that's quite frankly what we thought Daniel Zellhuber was going to do to him. They're similar fighters in the fact that they're very good strikers, but Ignacio, as we've seen, throws a lot more volume and is a lot more crafty. Zellhuber, as I mentioned, took a year off. He's training at Extreme Couture now, which is one hell of a gym. I think they're the best gym right now in MMA. We will likely see a bunch of improvements from him, especially in the striking. Vannata is moving up a weight class here as well, which usually is a bad sign for me. He's not trying to cut as much weight. He's getting up there in age. 31 years old isn't that old, but this guy has taken a bunch of beatings and he's been in wars. I think Vannata can get hurt here. He hasn't lost by KO yet. He's only been finished twice by sub. Usually when he gets hurt, he shoots these sloppy takedowns. And when he shoots, I think Zellhuber can get right there and pull. I don't know. I think Zellhuber can take him down and get some top control. But I think in his best interest, he wants to keep this on the feet. As long as Zellhuber doesn't pull a massive stunt, I do like Zellhuber to win this fight. And I think he wins by decision personally. And I like the odds, man. Minus 120 for a guy who is touted to be the next greatest thing. He's still very young. I get it at 23 years old, but improvements are there to be made. And over the past year at Extreme Couture, I think he's definitely made a lot of improvements. So give me Daniel Zellhuber. I have not locked in the money line yet, but I will likely be betting him, just unsure of the amount. But on to the next one. We have Piera Rodriguez going up against Jillian Robertson. These fighters are pretty much similar when it comes to the tail of the tape, except for Jillian Robertson is 2 inches taller than Piera Rodriguez. Jillian Robertson is moving down a weight class here. There's a reason I didn't bet this fight yet, and it's because I want to see how Jillian looks on the scales. Jillian tends to lose when she's facing a better striker and when she faces someone who out-physicals her. If she can't secure the takedown, the fight becomes almost unwinnable for her. I think Jillian has the much better strength of schedule and UFC experience in this spot. Dropping to 115 will definitely be a huge helping hand if you can make it healthy against Piera. Piera is definitely the better striker, but has not faced the best UFC competition. I mean, you look at it, it's Kay Hansen and Sam Hughes. No shade to Sam Hughes, but shade to Kay Hansen. I'm just kidding. All respect to them. And she tends to gas out as the fight goes on, from what I've noticed in the tape. Jillian may only be losing early in this fight if she's healthy. When Piera starts to gas out, I think Jillian takes over and she probably gets a late sub. So I'm interested to see what the line is for round 2, round 3 sub, or just fight to end by sub. I'm just gonna have to wait and see how she weighs in and how she looks tomorrow. So that's the telling factor for me. But on to the next one. Oh man, what a classic. Let's shout out the chat. Anthony, I'm staying off this fight. Now you're having me worried I might miss the solid line on Zellhuber moving forward. Yeah, Anthony, I mean, here's the thing. Zellhuber is a really good fighter, and I think he just had one of those bright lights moments and was just very nervous to make that debut. It's happened to the best of them. We'll just have to wait and see how he does here. Yes, sir, I agree with this. Jillian Robertson via sub, but we got to wait and see how she weighs in. We got to see how that cut went. But moving on to the next fight, We have another two fighters who have not fought in a long time. What are we doing here? It's Ed Herman versus Zach Cummings. Herman is 42 years old, ridiculously slow, high level grappler, hits really hard, but no gas tank. I mean, he has 5 minutes of gas, and if it goes past those 5 minutes, I think he just deteriorates. Zach Cummings is no young buck himself. He's 38 years old, has not fought since 2020, and he's likely going to be faster than Herman. I think Cummings moving to Factory X is going to be a good move for him. And I think his speed might be able to steer him clear of the danger in this matchup. I think that's going to be the defining factor in this fight, that Cummings is going to be a lot faster than Herman, and he's going to be able to get out of the way. I think by moving to Factory X, we've seen it with these fighters that come out of Factory X. They add that kicking game to their arsenal. That will help slow Herman down even more, who, in my opinion, I think Herman just needs a quick finish to win this fight. It's a round one finish or bust, I think, for Herman. So if you're interested in the Herman side, I think you'd much rather just play the round one KO. Cummings not fighting for 3 years and still being a minus 200 favorite should say a lot too. I'm not saying I agree with the line, but you know what I mean. Give me Cummings in this matchup, but I'm not going to be betting this fight. There's no way. There is no way. Saw another streamer, Mushroom MMA. My boy Mushroom, that's my boy. I say they're almost at 80-year-olds. Yeah, exactly. That is what sums up this fight. That's a great point. Over 80 years combined age. That's a big stay away. You better stay away. Next up, we have an absolute banger. Brandon Royval against Mateus Nicolau. This fight is pure chaos. Both fighters do not throw too much volume compared to the rest of the weight class, but Nicolau is very accurate when he does throw and has very good footwork. He's been finished twice by KO. That's my issue. Royval is a junkyard dog, as we all know him, and he'll likely try to mix in the takedowns in the sub game. He's going to hunt the submission attempts, but I think Nicolau is going to be able to outpoint Royval here and keep this on the feet. Excuse me. Royval does have some durability issues, and he definitely can get cracked. We've seen it in the past where he gets seriously hurt and then shoots those takedowns and ends up getting them. I just think Nicolau is a lot faster, is a lot better of a striker, and he can hit him on the button and shut him down. So I'm going to take Nicolau in this fight. I missed the line completely. I wouldn't put him in a parlay piece because I do think Royval does have some finishing equity here. So, yeah, it's going to be a really entertaining fight. One of the fights I'm actually looking forward to watching this weekend. And before we get into this next fight, if you guys haven't already, please help me out with the like and comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, help me out with that as well. We're almost at 300 subscribers, and it would mean the world. But next up, we have TJ Downtown Brown going up against Senor Perfecto. TJ Brown going up against Bill Algeo. Algeo is the better striker in this matchup, but TJ Brown is a better wrestler and grappler. Algeo has a 54% takedown defense, so it's pretty evident that he lacks the skill there. And he's very hittable, but what he does have is an elite get-up game and an elite gas tank. So I think Brown will get the takedowns early, but he's going to have to attempt to concede position on the mat, as he's done in the past as well. Like in that fight against Shailan, he conceded position after he got the takedown multiple times. And TJ Brown's gas tank isn't all that good. So I think Algeo is going to be able to pull in late and be able to take this fight away as the rounds go by. So give me Algeo decision here. That's my prediction. And I think the strength of schedule here also goes to Algeo. But not a fight I'm too passionate about. Just really interested in watching a fight. Both of these guys, I mean, they're not the best fighters. They don't do anything like too great, but it's very entertaining. I think it's close. On to the next one. We have Rafa Garcia going up against Clay Guida. Rafa is the ultimate wrestle fuck. Like, he will wrestle you until the bell rings. He's the one that's going to hunt takedowns over and over. I think he's going to be able to land them. And he's identified his issue with the gas tank. And he mentioned in an interview that he spoke to his coaches about it. And they identified the issue as him that he was throwing punches like haymakers, pretty much. He was throwing everything into every punch, which was going to gas him out. Clay Guida, I mean, man's a cardio machine. Even when he does tend to slow down, he continues going and he catches that second wind. I just think the age difference here in this fight is huge, and I tend to go with the younger fighter in this situation. I like how hard Rafa can hit if he wants to, and he was likely going to win the moments in this fight. Rafa will likely work the wrestling game here as well, so I'm gonna have to take Rafa by decision, maybe even by submission, but I'm more leaning so towards the decision for Rafa Garcia, and I do have a bet on him straight that I had at minus 200. Next up, we have Pedro Munoz going up against Chris Gutierrez. The battle of the leg kickers. It's the old leg kick versus the new leg kick. Who prevails? In all seriousness, Munoz is getting up there in age at 36, but has faced some absolute killers. And Gutierrez is 31 years old, blazing through the division. Not the best competition, though. Uh, this fight arguably will play out very close, in my opinion. I think the line's a little bit off. It'll be tough to back Gutierrez here at a favorite spot, especially if you watch the last fight where he arguably was losing until he got the KO. So this is a pass for me, but I do think Munoz can put up a really good fight here. So Munoz as a dog is probably the money line side for me. Let's check this chat out. Yep, I do like the line for an arbitrage here. It's it's tough to commit sometimes to the side, especially on this card. It's not the best betting card, but you got to do what you got to do and find your edge. Yes, sir. Rafa are homeless. You already know. I'm gonna be asking people for some change if Rafa loses. Just kidding. Just kidding. Next up, we have Ion Cutalaba going up against Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser is moving down from the heavyweight weight class, going down to light heavyweight. We're going to have to see how Boser looks on the scale as well. He's another fighter that we have to monitor and see how he looks when he weighs in. Boser has no get-up game. His kryptonite is the grappling. We all know this. If you watch the tape, you'll see it. Cutalaba is a guy that has landed over 55% of his takedowns in the UFC. And he's going to have tons of opportunities in this first round to finish the fight once he lands that takedown. I think if this fight extends past the first round, round and a half, I think this is Boser's fight to lose because Cutalaba death gasses. And yeah, I do think Cutalaba does get him out in the first round, but I would be interested to see the number for Cutalaba round 1 or Boser KO round 2 or 3. Yeah, Boser is going to try and keep this fight on the feet for as long as he can. He is just horrible on the mats. Next up, we have Dustin Jacoby going up against Azamat Murzakanov. Dustin Jacoby is going to be the much bigger fighter here. 6'3" going up against 5'10", 78-inch reach going up against the 71-inch reach of Murzakanov. He's going to be towering over this guy. I think Jacoby got robbed in his last fight against Roundtree. I did not have a bet on that fight, so there's no bias. Jacoby, in my opinion, is much bigger, much more volume. He's faster and is a minute winner on the feet. Murzakanov is always live for a finish, but Jacoby hasn't been KO'd in just about 10 years. So his chin is pretty solid. I think Jacoby's going to have the cardio advantage here as well, and I think Azamat's going to be fading as the fight goes on. So give me Jacoby decision. I'd be interested to see if Azamat finally implements that takedown game that he's shown on the regional scene in the UFC, but it has yet to be seen, and I can't trust it, and I think Jacoby is the much better fighter. So give me Jacoby in this spot pretty confidently. Co-main event, we have Edson Barbosa going up against Billy Q. Billy's going to be at a 5-inch reach disadvantage. He's 3 years younger. This is a very tough fight to call. Barbosa is starting to get older, though. He's 37, and the chin is starting to get cracked. He got dropped by Bryce Mitchell. Billy Q does not have the best striking defense, I'll say that. He tends to lose the first round in most of his fights, so I think I'd be targeting this fight more in like a live betting scenario after the first round. And I do think Barbosa is going to have his moments early in that first. But after that first round, I think Barbosa is going to slowly start to gas out. And Billy Q's pressure as the fight goes on, it just increases. He becomes a better fighter in rounds 2 and round 3 than in round 1. He's one of those slow starters. So give me Billy Q. I think he likely gets this done in round 3 or a decision. He's one of these fighters that starts slow and then loses the first round. So live bet Billy Q after round 1. Let's see. Eon rolling over us. Man, I just think Eon's going to be able to get him down at will in that first round and finish him. That's just my thing. Boser just tends to give up completely when he gets taken down. Let's see. Jacoby's been looking better than I expected him, to be honest. Good for him being his second UFC stint. Yeah, Jacoby's been doing really well as of late, and I'm really impressed with his performances. All right, on to the main event for the evening. We have Max Holloway going up against Arnold Allen. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten who Max Holloway is and how good his boxing is. That's just how I'm gonna put it. I understand he's been into a lot of wars, a ton of wars, but this guy continues to go out there and just show people that there's different levels when it comes to boxing in the UFC. There's the regular boxers, and then there's MMA boxers. Max Holloway is an MMA boxer to the highest caliber. And I do think Arnold Allen does have some finish equity in this fight. That's one thing. I think Arnold Allen, if he wants to win this fight, it would have to be an early finish, whether it's round one or round two. Because other than that, I think Max Holloway takes over late. We've seen Arnold Allen tend to slow down just a little bit early on in his career as the fight has gone on. And he hasn't been in a 5-round war. And when you're going into your first 5-round war against Max Holloway, I don't like your chances. So give me Max Holloway in this fight. I think he can get this done inside the distance as well if Arnold Allen does gas. But I think I'm not going to bet on this fight. Just enjoy it from a viewer's perspective because it's not the clearest of reads for me. Arnold Allen really impressed me in that first round against Calvin Kattar, even though it was kind of equal. I did think he landed some really hard shots. And Max's defense, it's okay, but he does get touched up. As his last couple of fights, his striking defense numbers has been down. So I'm gonna have to pass on it as a betting standpoint, but I do think Max Holloway takes this pretty confidently. But that is the end of the show. Let's see. Oh yeah, that would be fun to watch, but I do think he gets slept again. I mean, there again, like how I was speaking about the levels in the boxing, I think Pereira is just levels ahead of the rest in the boxing. Under 1.5 at -110 fight doesn't go. Hey man, you got to do what you got to do. If you can get it voided, or if you can just arb out at the over 4.5, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think you should be fine. I'm staying off the main event so I can enjoy it. Yeah, you and me both. We're thinking of the same exact thing here. What are your thoughts on OEM versus Burgos? Yeah, I mean, for those who got the early line on Burgos at plus 160, plus 150, hats off to them. I still think the line right now is still pretty good. I think Burgos is going to be the the much better boxer in this matchup, and his defensive grappling with the extra 10 pounds, I think, should be enough to keep this fight on the feet. He wants to get a finish, from what I understood on media day. He's just gonna have to. We're gonna have to wait and see. I hope he gets the finish. I'm a big Shane Burgos fan. I've always supported him, especially when he was in the UFC, and he was one of my favorite fighters in the UFC just because of his style and the way his boxing implements into the game of martial arts. Very, very solid striking, and he's one of those boxers that can get anything he wants, but he is quite hittable. That's the only issue with him. I think Burgos does take the win, though. I'm excited to go out there tomorrow for media and hopefully get to interview him or OAM. I'm excited to interview them both. Just a big Shane Burgos fan myself. But if you guys have any last questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But if not, I do appreciate all of the support we received today and all of the comments. It's been a fun show. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'll be there for media tomorrow. I'm literally flying in 2 hours before the event. So I'll get there at 2:30 Vegas time. The event starts at 4. I need to check in for media by like 3:30. So yeah, I'll be there for media, like how I was for PFL1. No, man, I'm not gonna be one of those guys. Like, see, here's the thing. Over the past couple of days, I've been thinking of switching just like my Twitter name from WizBets, just because it sounds very cringy when I'm introducing it in the media atmosphere. Like, hey, this is WizBets from BetUS. Like, it just sounds very cringy, and I don't want to be one of those guys. It's like, hey, Shane, I just have a question for you. The people have asked me to ask you this. Are you a lock for my parlay? Like, no, I don't want to do that. That's just not how I'm gonna go about it. But yeah, I've been thinking of switching up the username, something still with Wiz, but a little bit more professional, if you get what I mean. Yeah, they are getting so bad with that gambling stuff. That's why it's like I don't want to keep the Wiz Bets name in the future. I appreciate you, Fight Talk. Thank you so much. I will be uploading all of the interviews I do and all of the questions I asked during media day once I get back from PFL, hopefully. So probably by Sunday or Monday. That's what I'm aiming for. All right, guys. If there is no more questions, again, I appreciate all of the support. If you haven't already, please like and comment on the video, and then shoot a subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next week for another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns. Thank you so much.